Hear ye, hear ye. The March 11th, 2015 meeting of the Disability Advisory Commission will now come to order. Please stand if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right behind you to your left. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing we'll do is begin with reports from the commission members. Roll call, thank you. I don't have the first part of my agenda here, but I should have that memorized. Let's do a roll call. Commissioner Jess? Present. Commissioner Pashna? Present. Commissioner Sutzman?
Present.
Commissioner Vice Chair Hernandez?
Present.
Commissioner Jeffords?
Present.
Please let it know for the record, Commissioner Baker is absent, and the rest of us are all here. We'll begin with reports. I'd like, especially for our new members, to remind you that reports are something that has to do with either contemporary news or facts and information. They are not to be discussed or debated upon. If there is something you'd like to bring up now, that's fine, but we can't discuss it until the last item when we plan our agenda for next month. So a report is to be just to give some information, not to ask questions and not to put something on the agenda until the end. Secondly, I did have a question emailed to me about the Above and Beyond Awards. I just want to go over it for the sake of our new members. If you would like, any one of us are able to nominate anyone we like for the mayor's Above and Beyond Award who lives in the city of Surprise, either individual or corporation, business, etc. And you are certainly welcome to do that. Please let us know about that when we discuss the agenda for next month. And then it'll be put on the agenda. We can discuss it during the month. We can do any research on our own if we need to. And then at the next meeting, we will discuss it and/or vote upon it. And if it's voted on, then the month after that, we will invite the person to give it to. So that's how that works. So beginning with reports, we'll start from my left. Commissioner Jess.
Let me see. Which one do you want me to do here first? The above and beyond?
Well, the above and beyond, are you going to give a report just to give us information? Because we're not going to debate on anything.
Yes. I spoke to the head of the corporate office at QT. I got the contact person who is the representative for the whole region, and they are doing the things that I had seen, which was the call button, the call number, and restricted parking for handicap parking, not allowing the trucks to unload, and they are doing all of that. And so her name is Misty Hord, I'll spell it for you, Horwedel. And from there, I didn't know what to do with that information.
Okay, we'll discuss that when we talk about the agenda for next month.
Okay. The second one was I had tried to talk to several people at Sun City Grand, and they just really are not interested right now in doing anything for a publication. It took them 5 weeks to get a hold of me. I called and called and called. Nobody is really with it. They finally gave me a couple of different numbers, talked to them, didn't get a call back on that. So I think what I could do is take it to the board and ask the board if they will allow that to be in the publication. But as far as just finding someone to do it, they're just not interested. So I tried.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
Commissioner Pashna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other report I have is on the Above and Beyond Award. and I do have a company I would like to nominate. The company is Mountainside Fitness, who they do have a gym on Bell Road. Bell and Reams is the road it is on. And they have other gyms around the Phoenix area, but that is the gym that I belong to. And both staff, meaning the gym staff and the personal training staff, go out of their way to help me make sure that I am doing my exercise properly. They help others, even if per se you are not a personal training client, but they help others make sure that they are doing it right. In my instance, when I am at the gym, I wear like a glove on my right hand to help me grip, and they help me make sure that my hands are gripped properly, that I'm doing it right, and that I'm set up properly to do the exercise. So that's my report for this month.
Okay, please bring that up again when we discuss the agenda for next month, at the end of this meeting, okay? Commissioner Stutzman.
Everything that I have to report falls under an agenda item, so I will concede my time until then.
Okay. Vice Chair Hernandez.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Commissioner Jeffords.
Yes, in terms of transportation, I would like to discuss, I went to the National Federation of the Blind's West Valley chapter meeting on the 3rd of the month. And I learned quite a bit about Uber, and that's a transportation alternative that they are endorsing. And Uber is a private taxi kind of company. It's much cheaper than the traditional taxi cab, and there are apps that you can download onto mobile devices so that you can schedule rides and things that way. But you know, for several years now, I've heard that it's an absolutely good alternative for people with disabilities. So something that I'll be doing more investigation in. I haven't taken it myself, and I'm curious because we're so far out in the West Valley, you know, if it's a practical solution. But that's what I've been learning about now. Thank you.
Okay. My report is Commissioner Pashna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow with Commissioner Jeffords' report, I've also heard of Uber, and it is private citizens who are driving. They are hired through this company. The company does all the background checks, make sure the vehicles are safe, but it is private people that are doing the driving, and there's many in Surprise. They cover the whole area.
I have some questions about that, so we'll talk about that again. If you and Commissioner Jeffers could bring that up again at our last, the last item on our agenda. Very good. My report is, I'm sad to report that we still have a accessibility parking problem in the city of Surprise. As all of you know, or as most of you know who have a history with this commission, we've had 2 meetings with the staff members who are responsible for supervising the Sundancers at city events. And this past week, I took my wife and 2 friends to a baseball game, a spring training game, and there was not a single handicap parking sign in sight. I went by the box office. I had an argument with the lady there who insisted, the Sundancer who was supervising traffic, and she insisted that there was no handicap parking by the third base entrance. I specifically purchased tickets that were right in right field, right by the third base entrance. We couldn't even get near there. She refused. I asked her a couple of questions. She got annoyed at me, told me I had to make a U-turn. I realized I wasn't getting anywhere. I made the U-turn to get out of that block, And as I did, there was a car right behind me with the same problem who had the same solution or non-solution. And the Sundancer who approached me approached him and started arguing with him. And he said, I heard him say, you know, I know there's spots right down here. Why can't I just go down there? And she says, nope, nope. The handicap parking is across the street from the first base entrance, which is well on the other side, nowhere near the third base entrance, nowhere near the main entrance, in fact. As I followed her directions, I made a U-turn. I went all the way down Bullard, came back all the way through the north end to get into that parking lot there, where I met several other Sundancers who didn't stop me and waved me right on through. And the last guy all the way down when I was in the parking lot waved me on through. And coincidentally or not, it was right to where the handicap parking was. And when I got there, the handicap parking was ample. There was plenty of parking there. I was able to get out of the car with my wife. She was able to walk right across the street from the third base entrance, and we went in to enjoy the game. When we came out, the same thing. It was nice and convenient. It was fine. Unfortunately, we still have a problem. I contacted Tara Combs on this, and quite frankly, I'm at a loss. I don't know where else to go. I don't have any faith in another meeting. I also copied the people who were at the last meeting, except for Commissioner Jess, due to open meeting laws. But I asked everybody who I copied if they have any ideas, where do we go next? I'm bewildered. I don't understand how our great city, who goes above, and that's not sarcastic, we go above and beyond for people who have disabilities, and we can't seem to get this right. And it's very, very frustrating to me. So I just don't know what else we can do with that. Please don't comment on it, because we can't. This is just a report. I'm just reporting what we have. The next part of my report is explaining the above and beyond procedures, which I did already, and I believe that's it. Do we have any reports from the staff?
No, I have none. Thank you, though.
Okay. Then it's on to item number 1. Presentation pertaining to the authority and duties of the Disability Advisory Commission, open meeting and conflict interest laws. That was something that Robert Wingo gave us at our last meeting. So for our number 1 on our present discussion is discussion and action pertaining to Disability Advisory Commission dates and times. One of the things Robert Wingendorf explained to us last week, for the benefit of the members who were absent, is that we apparently have the ability now to change the dates, and I understand even the time. I don't know if we're going to make the final decision, but I explained to them that I wanted, before I made any decision, I wanted to check with all of our commissioner members. So, for the commissioner members who are here, is it a problem for anyone to come to change our meeting day from the third Wednesday in March, the third Wednesday of the month, to the second Wednesday in the month? Commissioner Jess, is that's acceptable? Commissioner Pashna? Commissioner Stutzman? Acceptable. Vice Chair Hernandez? And Commissioner Jeffords? Okay, so I think we might be meeting the second Wednesdays of the month, because I understand there's a lot less of a scheduling conflict or any problems with that. So if we all agree on that, I think that would be fine. Commissioner Stutzman?
Have we cleared it that we will be able to get recording for closed caption purposes on the second Wednesday, since previously we were always the third Wednesday?
You mean televised?
Yes.
Yes. I believe that's one of the problems that the city was having, or staff members working for the city had, with the third Wednesday now, and I think that's why they would prefer. If we didn't all agree, or even if one of us didn't agree, I was prepared to say, no, we're going to keep it on the third Wednesdays. But if we all agree, then yes. And yes, the answer is, to be clear, Commissioner Sussman, we will be televised, and it will be the second Wednesdays of the month. So just to make sure we're clear on that.
Thank you, Chair.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
Since we're looking at making some changes, can we also consider a 5 p.m.? Does that work for anyone?
That was going to be my next question. We were asked to consider having it at, beginning at 5 p.m. I think the advantages, from what I understand, are there's sometimes a problem with the doors to get into City Hall lobby at 6, because I think they kind of automatically lock around 5-ish. And in the past, it's never been a problem for me, but I didn't realize it until just this evening. It's always because one of our staff members usually meets me in the lobby and is always there to open up the doors. But otherwise, they might not be open at 6 or close to 6. The other thing I understand is that it may be a more accessible thing for people who have a challenge getting here to the meeting because of the dollar ride program. If it's earlier and we stop earlier, for example, at the latest 7:30 instead of 8:30, then dollar ride would still be in operation, and they could get home from that. I think it's rare that our meetings go 2.5 hours. It's usually under 2 hours. But on those rare occasions, like the last meeting, for example, it did go to 2.5 hours. And that's too late for the dollar ride. So those are the positive things. Now, the negative thing would be, I absolutely insist that it's not a burden for any of the commissioners here to come in at 5 o'clock and make our times to the second Wednesdays of the month from 5 o'clock until 7:30-ish, the latest, but maybe 7 o'clock is a better time. If it's a burden for any of you, we certainly are not going to lose one of our valuable commissioner members because we can't get together on that time. So I'd like to just go down the list of the road again. Please feel free and please do not feel pressured to change the time if you can't make it. Commissioner Jess, any comments on that, or is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Commissioner Poshman, any comments, or is it okay?
The only problem I can foresee with that is I work in Phoenix and I leave at around 3:30, 3:45, and with the traffic at that time, it does usually take me an hour and 15 minutes to get back here, so I may be pushing it a little. That's one thing I can see. I'm not going to say that it's a real problem because I think I could do it. It's just going to be a little bit of a rush.
I got to ask you then, is it something that you'd rather not then? Leave it at 6? Or let me ask you this while you're thinking on that. Can I ask our staff member, Ms. Davis,
Sure.
is it possible to do 5:30?
We could do 5:30.
That's okay? Commissioner
Absolutely.
Poshna, would you feel better about that?
5:30 would give, yes, 5:30 would give me a little bit more breathing room.
Okay. Commissioner Sutzman, in terms of any comments, or are you okay with 5:30?
I would have to see if I can make arrangements. I work until 6. So on these days, I've just been closing early and putting a sign up, but a full hour and a half before closing time I would have to hire somebody to come in. So I'll just have to see if I can make those arrangements, if we can postpone committing to this until the next meeting.
We can, but I certainly don't want to pressure you to have even more of a problem, getting here by costing you money to hire somebody. So is that the only way it can be done?
Yes, I don't mind closing a half an hour when I've advertised
Right.
hours, but, that I would definitely have to get somebody to cover for me.
Well, I'm going to leave it up to you, Commissioner Stutzman, then, because if you like, I guess we can postpone this to our next meeting to see if that's accessible. I didn't check with Commissioner.
Yeah, we can check all the way down, because if
Right.
there's more than one person that has a problem, I won't even need to do that. But if there isn't, then I will look into it and report back next week before we make the change, or
Okay.
next month before we make the change.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
I would say it's not worth putting that undue burden on Commissioner Stutzman. So I'm okay with the 6 o'clock.
I
I'll make
agree.
it work.
I agree. Commissioner Jeffers?
I agree.
Okay, why don't we do that? We're going to keep the meeting without objection. We're going to keep the meeting on the second Wednesdays of the month at 6 o'clock. And I really think it's it's safe to say we'll be out of here by 8 o'clock. There may be some rare occurrences, like when Mr. Wingenthorf gave us an hour presentation, and we were sweating to get out of here. We didn't even finish our agenda from last time, but I think that's the exception to the rule. Okay, without objection, that's what we're going to do. All right, is that good for the staff members?
Yes.
All right.
Fine.
Let's move on to item number 2, discussion pertaining to the Commissioner's powers, duties, and responsibilities. Last meeting, we were given a very large package, and one of the things, they're in no particular order. Somewhere in the middle of this large package, there's a page 2, but at the top it says Disability Advisory Commission, old, and then on the other side there's another column that says new. The old is pretty much our strategic plan, which I think the city now has decided that none of the commissions are going to have a strategic plan anymore. They want to, I shouldn't say that, but they want to modify it so we don't have to report to them, we don't have to write it up, and it's going to be done in a different way. The city then took our strategic plan and they kind of modified it based on our strategic plan, and what you have on the right column are only 5 goals, whereas we had several, and we had goals and we had objectives. Well, they call it powers, duties, and responsibility. The commission will, and then there are 5 different aspects. I was a little confused between 3 and 4, which seemed to be a little bit of the same thing. But what we did last meeting is we got a commitment of which one of the ones that our commissioners would like to be appointment on. Now, I want to be clear on this for the 2 people who weren't at the last meeting. We still cannot have subcommittees. We still must respect the Arizona open meeting law by electronic transfer, by emails. We cannot have a meeting with any of us that way, nor can we have it on our own in face-to-face. But when I say appoint person, what I like all of us to do is just pick 2 of the 5 goals to be the person who would be in charge of going to do the research on those things. For example, item number 1, one second. Advocate for the voluntary participation in the removal of barriers and to improve accessibility to businesses, public facilities, housing, employers, and public amenities. Now, if you choose to, like Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Pashna chose to make that, to be point people on that, if you come across something or if you do the research to involve yourself in that goal, what you would do is bring that information to a meeting, and then you could put it in your report, and or you can request that we're going to put it in our agenda so the public knows about it, and we'll start with that a month from then. So that's the way I'd like to work it. So Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Pashna, who chosen to take over that, you don't have to meet with Commissioner Baker, for example, Commissioner Pashna. You can do your own research on your own, or if something comes to you, or I know as Commissioner Baker said, you know, she has a passion for certain things and she'll go look into see how she can help out, then that'll be just fine. And then you bring that to us and present it to us either in a report, and if need be, we can put it on a discussion for the following month, discuss it, vote on it, and then get things done that way. But you would be the one taking charge over that system to bring to us, okay? All right, so let me just review what I have so far. Commissioner Baker has volunteered to take numbers 1 and numbers 2. I assume everybody has this in front of them, right? Okay, Commissioner Jeffers is 2 and 3. Commissioner Pashner's is number 1 and 5. Commissioner Stutzman is numbers 3 and 4. I chose number 5 so far, and I'll take whatever is left over. And now we have Commissioner Hernandez and Vice Chair Hernandez and Commissioner Jess. If you could choose one of the ones that, or 2 of the ones that you would like to oversee. I will say this, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is already, we have 2 people on that. You could go for numbers 1, 2, 3. Oh, and number 1, we have 2 people on that. So it's numbers 2, 3, and 4.
3 has 2 people.
3 has 2 people? Yes, they do. That's right. 2, 3. Okay. So it's number 4 and number
2.
2.
2
Right. 2 and 4. So you have your choice of 2 and 4 or 2 or 4. And if you like, you could, join one of the others. It's never going to work out exactly right. Excuse me?
We have too many members.
That's, yes, obviously. Yeah, I knew that when we started this. Mathematically, it's not going to work out. But that's fine. If we have a little bit more or a little bit less in a certain area, it's okay. My goal is, Commissioner Jeffers, is to try to get this thing so all bases are covered. And we have somebody working on a specific thing. Vice Chair Hernandez, can you take a look and
Yes.
commit to 1 or 2?
2 and 4 will be fine with me.
Okay, and Commissioner Jess? That's fine. All right, then I'll do number 5, and I don't know if 3 needs one. No, we have 2 for 3. We have 3 for 4.
2 for everything, so you
2
either need
for
1 or
5.
3 to be.
Right. Okay, so number 1 then. Then everything is covered at least by 2 people. Okay. Very good. And again, especially for the benefit of our new members, what I'd like to encourage you to do is take it upon yourself to find areas where you can help out, we can help out as a commission for our disabled citizens who are disabled, I should say, in the city of Surprise, and bring them to our attention. Wherever you come in your own personal life, whatever happens, bring it to our attention through a report, and then we can get it on the agenda, and we can discuss and vote on it. We can go out and do our own research then after that. But what I'm counting on everybody here is to take responsibility just for those narrow kind of goals. Also, I should mention, I was going to talk about this a little later, but it seems like a good time now. The Above and Beyond Award thing, that's one of the goals that we have here, recognizing people. Any of us are eligible to make a recommendation for an Above and Beyond Award. So again, like Commissioner Jeffers did today, and Commissioner Poshner did today, is just to bring to our attention a business that they think might be worthy and tell us why. We can't debate on it, we can't discuss it, but now we can put those, if you guys still want to by the end of the meeting, put it on for the next agenda so that the rest of us may have time in between to investigate those businesses. We could discuss it next time, and if we all agree, and we can vote on it next time, and then the time after that we'll be able to give the award. Commissioner Jeffers, is that clear how that works? Absolutely. And Commissioner Poshner? Commissioner Vice Chair Hernandez?
Yes, I just wanted some clarification. It's businesses and/or individuals, right?
Thank you so much for mentioning that. Yes, it is businesses and/or individuals. It doesn't have to be a company. It could be an individual, or in the past, what we've done is give it to individuals, for example, who might be the president of a homeowners association. So it's really the homeowners association, but because of the efforts of a certain man or a certain woman, then we gave it to them. Same thing with, I think the very first one we gave was to Chase Bank on Bell Road, and we gave it to the manager because he did go above and beyond to corporate Chase to tell them that they wanted accessible doors. They didn't have accessible doors for people to go in. So that's, and same thing with the movie theater, and the list goes on and on. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you, Chairman Hernandez. Okay, before we move on, does anybody else have any discussion pertaining to the Commission's new powers and duties that are outlined? Without objection, I took a look recently on our website, and without objection, I'm going to contact Diane Arthur, who is now the Human Resources Communications Director, and see if I can get her to change that to what it says here on our new goals, and that'll be, it needs to be updated anyway. I think they have the strategic plan from 2012, 2013. I'm going to backpedal a little bit. If we're all finished with that, we're ready to move on to the next item. I just realized I wanted to mention that I did contact Diane Arthur. Maybe I should wait because I think that's another agenda item, yeah. Okay, number 3, discussion pertaining to the city's mediation program incorporation into the DAC's commissions and goals. Commissioner Baker is going, Chris Baker is going to be the point person on that. She happens to be a mediator for the City Surprise anyway, so I thought it would be great now that she's on our commission and hopefully can put the two together. She gave us a little bit of a presentation last time, but it wasn't televised last time, so I asked her to give us the same presentation again, especially in light of the 2 members who weren't here last time, so we can understand a little bit more what it's about, and our public can understand more how she might be able to help us in terms of people who have challenges more so than the general population. So first thing for the agenda for next time, we're going to table this without objection, and because she's not able to make it here tonight, and we'll ask Commissioner Baker to do that next month. So it'll be televised and for the benefits of the members who aren't here. Item number 4, discussion pertaining to publishing the Disability Advisory Commission survey question. This is what I already contacted Diane Arthur. I think she has another name, Gialou, do you know if that's how you pronounce it? Grialou.
That's correct, yes.
Grilou. First of all, I have to correct an error that I made last time. I think I was thrown off because of Robert Wingenthorf's long presentation to us, which I didn't expect. And then we had a rush to finish up our meeting. We didn't get to everything. The problem was that I said the survey question was going to be, are you experiencing something that will be a challenge for you with the new trash, with the for the City of Surprise? And then Commissioner Sutzman corrected me and said, well, it was really too vague, but we were talking about something, and we left it at that. Well, when I went back and I looked at my notes then, I should have realized that the question was based on what came before it, which was back 10 months ago, the City of Surprise changed the recycling, the trash pickup schedule to include one day for both regular trash and recycled trash. So that was where we came up with our question, is this a challenge for you for a disabled person or person with disabilities to take both pails out on the same day? Since then, Commissioner Jess enlightened me about a program that she knows of where they have smaller trash pails, so it makes it easier for a person who is wheelchair bound, for example. And also, Diane Arthur enlightened me and told me about a couple of other programs where if people who have a disability simply just contact her office, they will be willing to work something out to assist that person. She said, as of now, she has 5 people who reached out to the city with the problem of having the same pickup day, or the one day for both recycled and regular trash. So she's working with them, and she worked out something that's good for them. So I thought this was terrific. So I don't think we need our survey question. However, I also asked Diane Arthur if she could put that in the next, thank you, this is what I was looking for, the next Progress magazine. Let me just read this now that I found this, just to bring you up to date. The City of Surprise is changing their trash pickup schedule to include both regular and recycling on the same day. And then the question we came up with was, are you experiencing a disability which would make this a challenge for you? And Councilman Todd Tandy assured me that if we did get a response from enough people that this is a challenge for them, he could then bring it up to the City Council to perhaps even make an ordinance that people living in the City of Surprise, regardless of the homeowner situation or not, would have an extra 24 hours to remove the pails. Because I know in some homeowner associations, you have to do it within 24 hours or you can receive a fine. So he can create an ordinance with that would give only people with disabilities more of an opportunity to take it down. But I'm not sure that this is needed now after hearing from Diane Arthur, so I asked her if she could put this information in the next Progress magazine. Commissioner Stutzman.
Yes, at the December special meeting that we had, we discussed that question at great length, and we do have that available for anybody to read, and we did vote against that question per the discussion that we had at that meeting. So the question that you were bringing up last month was a generic question. We had voted against asking specifically about the recycling. So what we did last month, there was questions about the wording was a little bit vague. So trash was finished, and we had moved on to a more general question that we were going to still try to put in there just to make people aware of us and to try to get some feedback on emails and on the voicemail, which I guess would be yours, Linda, of the kind of problems that people are having in the city, so that we could divvy those up and start attacking them. Vice Chair, do you happen to have in your notes the question we ended up deciding on?
See, the question that I have in my notes here is, after what I just read, are you experiencing a disability which could make this a challenge to you? And as I recall, and I could be wrong, but as I recall, you corrected me and said that's too vague. Let's make it something, more when we say this. But what I didn't realize that I was referring to the trash thing here. Mm-hmm. And then we changed it, I believe, to are you experiencing a disability that is a challenge for you?
Right.
So it was a general question like that, and that was a survey question. So I asked her about the survey question and her advice on how to get the responses back, and I wanted to do that with little or no cost, not make a big deal with return postage, et cetera, and maybe even just a telephone number. So she wrote back and explained, with the trash, they have all these other ideas, and it's more than, Commissioner Jess, more than just that one. They have some other things too, and that's been working out. But now if I didn't know about them, my guess is a lot of people don't know about them, so I asked if she could put that in. Commissioner Stutzman, are you suggesting that we still come up with some sort of survey question, a general question, or leave that alone now?
I would have to pull the minutes from the December meeting, but we did decide as a commission to still have a question, and it was a very generalized question, and it was going to go to them to be responded to only by email or telephone. And that's all per our December minutes. I don't know if you happen to have them in front of you.
The specific question was, are you experiencing a disability that would make this a challenge for you?
Yeah, and that's the word that was unclear, because that was about the trash pickup. So I think what we did was change it to, are you experiencing a disability that, is a challenge for you?
Presents a challenge.
Presents a challenge, right. Commissioner Jeffords.
Yeah, I was pondering this question after our last meeting, and I just wanted to make a point for verbiage. So many of the, people with disabilities, so many cannot read or maybe have cognitive disabilities. It might be a more effective tool to say you or somebody close to you or something. Does disability affect your life versus are you the person with the disability?
Okay. Al, at this point, I guess we could come up with a question now and then propose it to Diane Arthur. But I'm also going to have to ask her, unless, Linda, you have any inside information as to how we might, a non-complicated way and non-costly way, or very little cost, of getting the answers back. Would it be a burden if they called up either your office or Scott's office or Rika's office with their questions or answers?
For a response back to the survey, I think I need to run and double check with Scott on his feeling with that, and also check with Diane, Arthur.
Okay, and remember, it'll just be one question, one
Sure.
simple question, not a whole long story,
Okay,
all right?
let me check on it.
While we have this on, Commissioner Stutzman?
I would propose then that we each write up a version of a very generic question that would get at, are you or someone close to you experiencing difficulties within the city of Surprise due to a disability? Because we don't want to just hear that you have a disability. Unfortunately, we can't help with a disability, but we can help with any problems that you're running into in the city of Surprise due to that. So I would say that if each of us wrote a question with this many great minds working together, we can make them all into one, and then that would give Linda time to double check and make sure that they are still willing to use the staff resources to pull that information to give back to us. If she comes back and says no, then we might just have to let that go. But I think in the meantime, we can be proactive and have that question ready to submit.
Okay, Commissioner Poshna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Sussman, I like your idea of the broad question of, are you or someone you know living in Surprise having difficulty with something, but are we going to give them like an option? Because that's more of a yes or no question and can be very simply answered. But we need to know exactly
Right.
what the problem
Right.
is, so then we can go back to it
Right.
and try to fix the problem.
That will be part of.
No, I was just clarifying.
Okay.
Commissioner Jeffers, did you push the button, or do you have any? I also like Commissioner Stutzman's idea, but I'm wondering if we can't be proactive tonight and just come up with a general question, because one of the things Ms. Davis can find out is suggest, even if the response is electronically, which might be efficient and just quickly put into place on the website, and if they advertise in the Progress magazine, that might be a way. But I don't think we're going to be, I could be wrong, I don't think we're going to be burdened with thousands of inquiries about that. But for just a general question, can we do that tonight, or would you really rather put it on hold? I mean, I thought we like, are you or anyone with a disability experiencing problems in the city of Surprise? Something to that effect? Just a general question? Or what like Commissioner Poshna says, we don't want it to be simply yes or no. What, if any, challenges do you have, or do you know of somebody who has a disability in the city of Surprise experiencing? Perhaps something like that. Commissioner Hernandez, Vice Chair Hernandez.
For example, if we're going to, either we want to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, or if we're going to do it, write a check mark such as with transportation, et cetera, just a list of where the greatest needs would be, because I think what you're asking is so vague and so broad that I wouldn't know any other way to get that information.
See, the purpose of making it vague and broad, like you say, is to open it up, have an open-ended question that anybody having a problem with anything can say. Now, if we're going to have a checklist, that's going to involve statistics. It's going to involve, a really problem with getting the response back. That's what I'm afraid of. And if we just make it an open-ended question and then give a telephone number or a website address to respond to, then that might direct us on how we can help out our citizens who have challenges. That's my thinking about this whole thing to begin with. Commissioner Stutzman.
What challenges are you or someone you know facing in the city of Surprise due to having a disability? Something along those lines.
Can you read it one more time?
Request, sure.
One more time, please.
What challenges are you or someone you know facing in the city of Surprise due to having a disability? That's just a starting point.
It's very open-ended. That's the kind of thing I think we need. Vice Chairman Hernandez?
I have, do you or a family member suffer a disability or challenge that impacts the quality of life in the city of Surprise?
One more time again? I like the end of that.
Do you or a family member suffer a disability or challenge that impacts the quality of life in the city of Surprise? Or your quality of life in the
See,
city of Surprise?
that's good, but it's a yes or no answer. Yes, I do, or no, I don't. But we
So
need,
how would you?
right, that's why, maybe we can combine these two questions. Commissioner Jeffords?
First of all, just, I don't mean to be a critic, but I would never put suffer because so many people look at that as a negative. I like everything else you said, but just the word suffer I would strike. The other thing, I don't know if at the end of it you can say, please share your experience, you know, and then kind of put a tagline for the Disability Advisory Commission, you know, we want to know about it kind of thing, so that it's also, you know, a public service announcement saying we're here and we want to know.
That's good.
Commissioner Jeffords, off the record, I want you to know that I want you to be critical here. That's why you're here. I want you to be critical of us if we're not doing something that you got a better idea for. Back on the record, can we come up with something with Commissioner Jeffords' ideas? She stated it just right. That's what we're trying to do. Let people know we are here with whatever challenge they have because of a disability they might have. We are a resource for them. That's the purpose of this whole thing. So it's not like a survey, I guess, in the traditional sense, but we want to get something in the Progress magazine, perhaps on the website, that we can formulate just a simple question and give them, you know, a contact number for us or a website. Does anybody, who are two people who are writing down things, have it? Commissioner Jess?
Find out first who's going to get this information and how it's going to get to them and what we're going to do with it, because we can have the question, but how are they going to, are they going to call an office? I think we need to get that clearance first.
Well, here's my thinking on that. I don't have the answer now, and I can't even suggest what the answer, because I don't know how things work with the communications department. But if we can come up with a question, then I can give that to the communications department and let them figure it out on how it's best and non-complicated that we can get back the responses. And then when we get responses with names, dresses, or whatever, then we can take action on that. Or if we get a lot on a specific area, we can take action on that. So I don't think it's our concern how we get that, or the city gets that information. Let them do it. Commissioner Jeffords. Excuse me one second. Does that explain? Okay, Commissioner Jeffords.
Just a thought, I wonder if it might be reasonable to ask the city if we could adopt an email address with a city, you know, suffix, like a dac@surprise.gov or whatever.
Actually, we've been through that before, Commissioner Jeffords. What the city prefers is that none of us really have an email address directly with the public, although it is on the website. But if, in fact, the cards that we used to have, I believe, I don't know if it's yours, Linda, or Ricker's. Do you have the same number?
I think my email address is on the website.
Okay,
Phone number and email address.
And the cards that we had, is that, that might be Ricker's and Scott's number for now. But I do know it's a staff member's number.
It is a staff member number.
You know, if they want to contact us, they have to do it through a staff member, which is fine. So it's just a matter of having Diane Arthur figure out what's the least complicated way to get a response, whether it's a phone number to a staff member or a thing on the website or a little, I don't know, tear off in the Progress magazine but what I think, what our job is right now at this stage is to get that message out there. That's what we want to do. Commissioner Sussman and Vice Chair Hernandez, have you formulated something to include these?
The
What would you-
last thing that I revised was, what challenges are you or someone you know facing in the city of Surprise due to having a disability? Please let us at the Disability Commission know so that we may advocate for you.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds very good to me. I tell you what, I think I'm going to call for a vote on this. If I can ask you to read it one more time. Without objection, I'll make a motion to vote on this, but let's listen again, please.
What challenges are you or someone you know facing in the city of Surprise due to having a disability? Question mark. Please let us at the Disability Commission know so that we may advocate for you.
I think that pretty much covers it all. Am I correct?
Sounds good.
I don't think that leaves anybody out. I think it's not vague, it's general. It's open and general, which means that it covers it all. Linda, did you get that?
I have it, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to take a vote on that question to present to the Communications Department. Do I hear a motion?
I second.
Okay, excuse me? So moved and second by Commissioner Poshna. All right. Before we leave, I'll get that question from you, and I'll do you, excuse me, we were told that our last, this is another thing I think I should bring Commissioner Hernandez and Vice Chair Hernandez and Commissioner Jess up on. We were told at our last meeting not to use staff members other than taking minutes and typing them up and with the agendas, that we're not to use them as any liaison or go-between anymore. So let me ask you, I know, Linda, you wanted to talk to Scott. Do you want me to wait on this a couple of days, or is it okay for me to just contact Diane Arthur?
How about, do you mind contacting Diane Arthur yourself and seeing?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Do you want me to wait a couple of days to see if you have a chance to talk to other people about it?
No, I think it would be better maybe just to go ahead and not wait and have you contact Miss Arthur and then see how, with the question, propose the question to her and see what she recommends to propose, how we would be able to get the responses back.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But if we can get that in, I think that would be excellent, and that would be a good starting point. Okay, so moved. Without any objection, are there comments? Commissioner Jeffords?
One final question on
Yep.
that, or thought on that, actually. One thing you might want to ask her about, or what I'm thinking about, is trying to get that question, if approved by the city, into other newsletters and that kind of thing as well. That might serve people with disabilities so that we can kind of get that word out there.
I know there are a few other things specifically, like the swimming pool has a newsletter, and the Adaptive Phys Ed has a newsletter that goes out for registration and stuff. So maybe what I'll do, that's a good idea, I'll suggest that if they can publish that same thing in anything else.
But yeah, and I'm thinking, even I was over at Marley Park and they have a community newsletter, and you know, there's some other entities within Surprise that might be a good fit.
This brings up an interesting point, Commissioner Jeffers. Let's take Marley Park, for example. How would we go about getting this into a Marley Park newsletter? I mean, Marley Park is in Surprise.
So my suggestion would be just to get in touch with the Homeowners Association and ask who the editor is and ask them to put it in. Again, we were just driving over there and we got one of their newsletters, and I thought it would be a good mechanism for spreading that word.
Commissioner Poshna, I think we have our first assignment for you. You volunteered for number 1, and it says advocacy for voluntary participation in the removal of barriers to improve accessibility to businesses, public facilities, housing, employers, and public amenities. Can I ask you to contact some of the developments in our area when we get the question and how we're going to respond to it, to see if you can get them to publish that for us?
I will do that, Chair.
Okay, we're going to wait on that, though, because I need to wait to hear back from Diane Arthur on the response, and if there's a number or a way or what have you. And then as soon as I hear that, I'll let you know. And then without any discussion, then you could just, as you can, a little over time, because I'm sure they have different newsletters that come out different times and so on. We can do that. Commissioner Jeffords, that's fine. And if anybody else who lives in a certain development would like to facilitate that, that'll be fine. I know Vice Chair Hernandez and I live in Royal Ranch in the same development, so one of us could always contact them and put that on. They have a monthly newsletter that's electronic, actually. Very good, Commissioner Jeffords. All right. Any other discussion on the item number 4 before we move on? Excellent. Item number 5, discussion and possible action pertaining to the implementation of the accessible parking enforcement program. I trust everybody has had a chance to read the handout that was given last time. Let me give one to Commissioner Vice Chair Hernandez, and if you could pass this down to Commissioner Jess. And Commissioner Jeffords, were you able to get this from Rika? That you were able to read it?
No, not yet, no.
No.
But I think you gave me a copy.
Were you able to read it?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, we're going to have to take a very, very brief break, so I'm going to suspend the meeting for now, and then we'll resume in a few minutes. The meeting of the March 11, 2015 Disability Advisory Commission is hereby suspended to resume in a few minutes. The March 11th, 2015 meeting of the Disability Advisory Commission is hereby continuing after a brief recess. We're on to item number 5, discussion and possible action pertaining to the implementation of an accessible parking enforcement program. I had asked our members prior to today to read over the volunteer patrol to report illegal parking in the town of Huntington, Long Island. This is a very short article which explains the program that they instituted. I don't think it would work exactly for us that way. However, I think it's a very good idea, and what I wanted to propose to the commission is to see if we can come up with our own plan to curtail abuses of accessible parking in our city. And if we can come up with a plan, then we would present it to the mayor and the city council for approval or for that consideration. So, I don't know if you would like me to read this to Commissioner Jeffords. Would you like me to? Okay, does anybody? Commissioner Stutzman.
No, I think that we're all pretty clear on it. I think that based on the discussions from last month, we know that it has to be observed by a peace officer, and we talked about the danger issue, and Rika, as the risk analysis said, or risk analyst, it's not going to go past them. In thinking about it between that meeting and not wanting to let it go entirely, I was informed of parking in a church parking lot that someone parked in. A police officer did stop in and say, you know, this person isn't displaying and the person wasn't handicapped. So they are monitoring for it. But I think if either we as a commission or we set up some kind of a citizens patrol, that it be limited only to if you see a habitual use. You know, if in where you work or where you live there's a handicap spot and that same red Honda without a handicap sticker always parks there, that maybe that's something that could be reported and a peace officer could do a drive-by and run the plate and check. But a one-time, oh, I saw somebody without, like you said, we don't know. Maybe they forgot their sticker, or he didn't look handicapped, but we can't see with our eyes and make that determination. So I think with the risk issue and with the way the ordinance is written in the city of Surprise, the most we could do is either personally be on watch for a habitual abuser, or set up some kind of program where we could enlist some other people to help us with the reporting of someone who is constantly abusing it.
That last part of what you said is exactly what I have in mind. First of all, I think I should tell you, I checked with the police department, and they do, I was informed, something pretty nice. If a person, like myself, for example, who has a handicap placard, and you forget to put it out, and you go park in a handicap spot, the police, before they actually give you a summons, even the auxiliary police, that's who I checked with, before they would give you a summons, they will come over and look in the car. And if they see it on your dashboard and you just forgot, they walk away and they leave it alone. So that was really nice, because a few times I've forgotten to put mine up. So they're not that awful about it. The last part, though, of what you were saying, Commissioner Sussman, this is the exact thing how it's different from the town of Huntington. What I'd like to do is see if we can get the mayor and city council to establish some sort of an email address that if a person takes a photograph of a car without a handicap sticker and the license plate parked illegally, that they can shoot it over to an email that's run by the police or the auxiliary police department. And if it's a habitual thing, then yes, we can request them to come and check it out, especially if the time and date is stamped on the photograph that when they email it to them. And if it's not, I'm not even suggesting that we give our citizens a summons or try to do that, because as you said, they have to witness that themselves. However, by shooting them an email of this, perhaps that's enough for them then to send out a notice to that address saying, here's what we observed, we are giving you fair warning, please don't use it. Our people who have a disability need it much more. Please try not to use it even for a few minutes. We would appreciate your cooperation. That might be enough to wake some people up and say, oh, gee, I didn't realize I just can't run into the store for a few minutes and come running back out. I'll be a little more careful with that. And that's our goal. We're not looking to create another venue of revenue. So that's what I'm thinking. What I'd like to propose to the city council is that we come up with a program. We ask, what we would need from them is to establish an email address that we'd advertise it, in things like the Progress magazine, and you would program that number into your cell phone. And if you ever see the handicap parking spot being abused, you can just snap a picture of it. You don't need to approach anybody. You can even wait for them to walk away from the car. You don't want them to get involved in the least bit. We are not peace officers. We are not armed. We're not looking for any trouble. We're not looking to say anything or mention it. We just want to take a photograph of that car in the wrong spot with the license plate number and shoot the email over. Now, how the police handle it will be up to them. Maybe they want to wait until they get 3 or 4 of the same car doing that before they send out a warning. But I think it's something that we might be able to help curtail. Does anybody have any comments on that? Is it Commissioner Jeffords? Do you have a comment on that?
The only thing I worry about is the potential for liability, especially if, they're taking pictures and maybe it's not the person, who owns the car who is actually driving it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it opens up a big can of worms that we don't have the resources to really address.
For who?
So who's going to run that plate to know who the car belongs to?
Well, that would be the
Such as,
police. That's we already have the resources. We have the police and we have the auxiliary police volunteer. And from what I found out from the police, the auxiliary police, those are the ones who were in charge of patrolling for abuses of that. And whatever they see, they will give a summons and so on. So and if you call them, from what I understand, and say, there's a car right here now, I'm in front of Target, let's say, and there's no handicap sticker, and I saw somebody young and healthy run out, and this is not right, they will come. My thinking is, though, and I didn't confirm this with the police, but I certainly don't want to take them away from a regular patrol where something much more serious might happen to come and give out a summons to this. But with all citizens on alert for this kind of abuse, what I'm thinking is that you just take a picture and you send it into a general email. It's anonymous, nobody even knows it's you, and then let the police deal with it. And then, like I say, maybe they want to wait till they get 3 or 4 of the same photograph of the same car before they take any action.
And then the police would be responsible for checking that email?
Yes, that's what we would need the city council to set up, an email or a direct line that wherever you can send a photograph to quickly from your phone. And you don't need to text any message to it. You don't need to write a story about it. All you need to do is take a picture of it, send it in, and they clearly see there's a car there. There's the license plate is clear. It's in a handicapped spot. What's it doing there, and why? And what the police. What I was also told. Maybe I should explain myself better. I was also told that the police, of course, have the ability to go online directly with the motor vehicle department and they plug in the license plate, and they can tell virtually instantly if there is a handicapped parking sticker, a placard assigned to that car. Now, again, there could be some quirks with this, because let's say I'm going with a friend, and I take my sticker and I go in her car, and she takes me somewhere, and we forget to put the sticker up, and we go, I need it. And she might, but that's why she's only going to get a warning. She will get a warning, and she can even respond to that by saying, here's the sticker, actually, I took this person, and so on. So it's the way I see it, Commissioner Jeffers and fellow commissioners, there's no downside if the city council can come up with the resources or a quick, low or no cost way of doing this. There's no downside for any citizen taking a picture, mailing it in to a certain number. That's it. And that's where that citizen's responsibility ends. There's no risk, there's no threat, there's no altercation, there's no confrontation. That's the kind of program that we'd have to make very, very clear to the city council. And then it's put in the lap of the auxiliary police department, and then they will handle that like the professionals that they are. Commissioner Jeffers?
Something else I think we should consider is creating some sort of statement that would encourage the general public not to utilize those spots if they do not have a placard, so that we're being proactive in getting the message out there that this is something that won't be tolerated, or that it's something that we don't value, something along those lines, just so that, again, we're not just punishing, but we're spreading the word that this is, against the law.
Excellent point. What I was thinking of doing next, again, without objection or unless somebody else has another idea, is writing up the idea for this program, which I just pretty much laid out for you, but also prefacing it with what you just said about please don't abuse the spots, that kind of thing, and then say, if you do see anyone abusing these spots, please, you on your cell phone, send a photograph into this number. And we do it that way. So that's definitely a good point. We can do that as well.
Thank you for that clarification. I think that helped me a lot.
Okay. Well, it's very important, because I want to make sure nobody, like Ms. Gallagher did last time, I don't want anybody to say, you're looking for trouble here, buddy. We're going to have people getting hurt or whatever. Commissioner Poshna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like the idea of the program. As I told you last meeting, I did something similar to this in Ohio that was just done on my own.
With your girlfriend.
Yes. My one concern with this is that since Arizona only has license plates on the back of the cars, not all disabled people have the disability license plate. Some do choose to have the placard that you hang in the mirror, put on the dash. Mm-hmm. And so if that happens, that's real easy. You're running out of someplace, you see it, but then you have to go around the back of the car to determine if maybe the symbol's on there. And I'm just thinking about me, because if I happen to see somebody walking around my car with a phone out, I'm going to become very defensive. So, it's a great plan, but at the same time, the city doesn't want to have liability, and God forbid that, somebody does get punched doing this. Who's going to take responsibility for that?
That's an excellent point. Again, though, the program that I have in mind, but you clarify a little bit more what I should put in there, is that no citizen is to go near the car, because maybe you're walking by and you're not in a car yourself, and you see this happening. No citizen is to go near the car to take pictures. Maybe we should come up with an idea of it should be taken from a distance, and preferably when the person is around. I don't think that's going to put anybody at risk. All you're doing is taking a picture of a car, not even the person who's getting out of the car. So I don't think it's the city's, God forbid, some crazy person, this started an altercation, I don't see how it's any kind of risk that normally wouldn't be there, either for the city or for the person, as long as the person doesn't get crazy themselves and wanting to take pictures and walking around and looking in the dashboard to see if it's on the front seat and that kind of thing. And also, as far as the back license plate, it all depends how much involved a citizen wants to get. I'm not so sure a lot of people are going to get out of their car and walk around to check. But if you just have, this is more for the people who blatantly abuse it, and you see it and you get so frustrated and there's nothing you can do. You don't want to say anything. You don't want to cause an altercation. But now you have at least some sort of recourse to let the police know. And if they sit on it for a while, and this happens a lot to one car, then they will take action. And maybe we're just looking, and with a warning, because they're not there to observe it, but with a warning might be enough for a person to say, gee, I better wake up and better be more careful. So, Commissioner Jess.
Just have 2 comments. Glendale has a really good policy for your placards. Your placard isn't up, you get a ticket put on your window, you go to court, it's a $250 fine. If you have your placard in your hand and you say, forget to put it up, fine. No placard, it's $250, no questions, no nothing. They don't mess around, and it happened to me.
Wait, if you have a placard, you must go to court?
Yes, if your placard is not up where they can see it.
Right.
Mine fell off and was on the floor.
Okay.
And I didn't know that.
Right.
When I shut the door, it wasn't quite intact.
Right.
So, yes, it was appear in court. No
you have
questions.
to appear. You can't just mail it in or mail in a copy of
No, that wasn't an option for me.
Really?
Now, I don't know if that's changed in the last couple of years, but believe me, I make sure that puppy's on there, and I do have a plate too. But they don't mess around with it. You are in court, you either show your placard and say, it fell on the floor, or you're paying $250.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good one. The second one, not only am I concerned about people always parking in handicap parking that are not handicapped, are the businesses that are doing remodels. And we have the dumpster taking up 2 handicap places. That happens a lot. And as our economy gets better, you're going to see it all over the place. At city events, at again.
Constructions, I've seen that myself, actually.
Right, city events, they have the 2 giant dumpsters that take up 2 handicap spots, and it's a city event. That, I think, needs to be phoned in.
A dumpster was at a city event?
Yes.
For what?
I don't know what they were doing, but they were...
A construction dumpster kind of thing?
The big white dumpsters.
Yeah, right.
Took up two spaces. And I don't think there's any excuse for that. There's no business that should be allowed to do that. Just shouldn't happen. But I don't think that the police department wants this headache, to tell you the truth. I don't think I don't think that they're going to want people phoning in. They don't like that particularly. They're not going to have, they're just not going to like it.
Okay, 2 things. First of all, that's a good thing about the dumpsters. I have seen that myself. And if we present this to the city council, one of the things we can also advise them is to perhaps come up with a city ordinance saying that you can't use handicap parking spots for dumpsters, and that would take care of that problem.
Yep.
So we could attach that to this suggestion.
Good.
As far as the police, what they want, like I say, you're right, there's certain more, important things for them to do now than everybody stop what they're doing and go looking for, handicap parking abuses. So they may, want to sit on it. They may want to wait till they get several things or so on. Just the fact that the public knows that they could be getting a warning about this might be enough to curtail it. That's what I'm suggesting. I can't think of a good analogy now, Commissioner Jess, but sometimes in life, you don't have to take your hammer and use it. Sometimes you could just show your hammer, and that'll make people afraid enough to come near you. And that's all. What's our goal? Like I said before, it's not to get revenue for our city. It's not to spy on our citizens or to cause trouble. Our goal is to make sure that the parking spots that are available to handicapped people are available to only them and to curtail the abuse. That's the goal with this program. And if we can do that by showing a hammer but never ever using it, including the police, so what? That's fine if that works. And like I say, maybe you're right. Maybe the police, won't be too happy with this idea. I don't think that's the case though with the people I spoke to at the auxiliary police, the commander there, because they do go around patrolling for this exact type of thing. And if we give them, if they get pictures of a certain car or a certain spot all the time that people are abusing or in front of a certain store, I think that'll alert them more. And again, a warning might be just fine. That's all it might take. Commissioner Jess?
The only way that people is to give them a ticket and make them pay the fine. And the police department is a little iffy about giving them a ticket. I've had 2 people ticketed this year, not because I'm real happy about it, but they just simply cannot park there. And the one was $285, the other one was $260, I think. And they supposedly had to pay that ticket.
Why are the police iffy about giving tickets?
They don't really like to do that. They want to talk to the people, and it's kind of the runaround. And I just demanded that they be ticketed.
Uh-huh.
And he did. He did ticket. And that was up at Sun City Grand.
Well, all I can say is that I think this is a start. And then we could take, if the city council approves something like this, or they like this kind of idea, we can monitor it ourselves. We can see how it goes. I'll personally volunteer to check in with the auxiliary police from time to time to see if anything is coming of it. And then we could take it from there. But I think I just believe we should do something. And this is, I believe, a good start. But we'll take a vote on it. Commissioner Hernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez, excuse me.
It's okay. Since it sounds like everybody's kind of a little iffy on this, what about, I agree totally that there should be a program to stop this abuse. What about, since we're going to be purchasing promotional items, et cetera, that we make this an educational program instead? Blanket everything with, whatever your catchy slogan that you come up with. Create your magnets that you're going to use in the shape of a placard, something, and really make that as a slogan and pass those things around like crazy. It gets the word out about us. It gets your program started, and it does it in a way that's conducive.
Positive,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
That's certainly another aspect of it, sure.
And a way to start your program to
Yes.
see how much, how much support you would get for it.
Okay, anyone else? Commissioner Jeffords, sorry.
Just one last quick thought about this. We might also include in whatever we propose to the police department, public awareness or training, disability awareness for officers. Because again, I think sometimes people discount the disability population and to say what's different from parking in a loading zone or a fire zone. Those are ticketable, so why is it that we can accept people who park in disabled parking spots?
That's another part of our argument you're saying, right? Absolutely. Yes. What I'd like to propose is that, without objection, if I or one of you would like to write up the specifics of this program, and we'll vote on it next meeting. And if we have a vote on it, then we'll take it to the city council for their consideration. Does anybody want to add anything else, or would you feel comfortable if I take the initiative and write the specifics up and then bring it to you, and I'll make copies again, where you can read it before the meeting, and then we can discuss it at the meeting, and perhaps, and if you want to fine tweak it, that's okay too. And then we'll vote on it at the next meeting, and then we can present it to the city council. without objection, does everybody agree with that? Okay, so we'll leave that on our next meeting, but it won't be a long discussion like this one was, because we'll have the program there. I will, as a matter of only information, I will email the thing to you. Please do not, I want to remind you, please do not respond to the email. We cannot debate it. Do not forward the email I send you to any other commissioner. That might have the appearance of constituting a private meeting. We don't want to do that. That is against the law. So I will email you this factual information explaining, describing the program that we already discussed tonight. And if you have any tweaks to it, would you like to tweak it a little bit, please make whatever notes you have, print it out if you like, rewrite it if you like, bring it with you to our next meeting, and then we'll hash out some little details if there are any, or rewrite the whole thing, and then we'll vote on it and present it to the city council. Okay, are we clear? Very good. Without objection, moving on to item number 6, discussion regarding the fair housing presentation by Commissioner Stutzman.
Is the PowerPoint available for on the screen?
It is not.
Okay. Then, Chair, I will put it to the commission whether they want to wait until they can see the PowerPoint, or if we just want to flip while there's a commissioner that can't flip through and follow it in paper form. If we want to table this until it is a PowerPoint, I was going to say we might need to skip it and move on to other ones anyway because of time constraints. So I'm fine.
There's
either
nothing
way.
urgent that we have that decision?
No, this
Okay.
was a request put forth at the December meeting that
Right.
I share with the board what presentation it is that I give on fair housing when I do an outside presentation. So.
Right. You know what my other concern is not just for us, but for the public now, it won't be on television now, so.
I thought we moved tonight, so because.
No, I mean, if we do it now, the public won't see it because we don't have the PowerPoint on television. They can do
Okay.
that on television. Can I ask you though, Linda, to check with whoever it is to check with, or maybe Jacob, who is in the other building,
Okay.
if we can have that PowerPoint presentation ready to go at our next meeting, and we'll definitely get to it then. In fact, maybe what we should do is put it early on the agenda so we can get to that.
You can table it to the beginning.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll put that on the beginning of our agenda, but we need to make sure that the, and you, who has that? Rika has that?
I think
So
we
Rika
can
has,
have it.
yeah, all right, if you can locate it and talk with Jacob on it.
Okay, sure, I will do that.
This way, when we have our televised meeting a month from now, the public will be able to see it as Commissioner Stutzman presents it.
Okay, sure.
please.
Okay. I
Okay.
can email it to you, sure. Commissioner Jeffers, I'll email it to you. Sure.
Okay. All right, moving right along. Item number 7, discussion and action pertaining to the submission of an article to the Sun City Grand publication. Commissioner Jess, I think you already spoke a little on this. Do you need to say anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Item number 8, discussion and action pertaining to the nomination and presentation of the Above and Beyond Award to the QT stations. Commissioner Jess, you told us some good news in the beginning, and we're going to perhaps wrap this up tonight.
I just didn't know, I haven't seen how this has been done, how you contact people or how you do any of that. So I just got her name and I don't know where we go from there.
Whose name is this?
The Misty Horwilder or
Right,
Horwilder.
right.
Okay, so I don't know what
No,
happens next.
I'm sorry, what I meant to say is
Oh, she is
your position, yeah.
she's the representative for this area.
For the whole West Valley or Arizona? Or
I think the whole West Valley.
Okay, and you've observed the above and beyondness, so to speak.
I
if you will,
have, and
at several stations?
I went to several stations, and you can push the button on lots of places and no one comes. The biggest problem is that I can't reach the button. By the time you get close enough, you're past it. I'm either too short or that just doesn't work. So that's what I really liked about the QT, and I used it tonight just to make sure it was good to go. And they've got the phone number right there. I just put it right in, and he was out in about 3 seconds. And I don't have to get out. I don't have to go in. I don't have to do anything. And I'm really impressed with that. Plus, I didn't talk to Misty. She wasn't in that day, but I talked to a lady that worked with her. And she said they are doing this all over the state of Arizona, and I think that's pretty darn impressive. Plus, having the placard out there that says it is not, the service trucks cannot park in handicap parking to unload. To me, that's a biggie.
Oh, they already have that?
Yep.
Fantastic. What I would suggest then at this point is to call, to get into contact with her.
Okay.
And ask her, you know, tell her what we'd like. First of all, maybe we should vote on this tonight before you go any further. But if we vote in the affirmative on this, I can call her to congratulate her and ask her, first of all, make sure that like the one you had tonight or between now and then, if you get gasoline again, remember the address or the number, whatever, however they, you know, identify that specific QT. And congratulate her that she won our award, and we'd like to present it to her at our next meeting. If she can send someone, or she could come, or if she thinks we should do it at you know, ask some of the owners to come who do this, or I'm not sure, ask her what would be preferable to her, get a name, and then if I could ask you not to create any problems with email, can I ask her to email the name to you?
Absolutely.
And then you'll have the certificate made up. We'll sign it right before the meeting next month.
Sure.
And then we'll present it next month if she can come. And maybe you can also let Linda know, or Rika know, however Linda wants to do it, if she can come. And then we'll present the award. And, you know, come up with a little paragraph or so and explain exactly why. And we'll do that. Okay?
Perfect. Yep.
Does anybody have any questions before we vote on this? Because this is something that she did bring up last time. Commissioner Stutzman.
This is a general question that's going to affect this. Is our new meeting schedule effective next month, or does that have to be voted on by City Council? So she needs to know which date to give them if they're going to be appearing for a meeting.
Linda, do you want to answer
I
that?
think we could schedule it for the second Wednesday of the month, which would be April 8th at 6 p.m.
Right.
That's good with everyone.
And we all voted on that tonight, so that, as far as I know, then the city is good with that, because Linda and
Absolutely, yes.
Scott are the ones who proposed that these things
They
take
are good
place.
with that.
So we're all, yeah, so I guess let me make it clear, then we're, from now on, our meetings are at 6 o'clock on the second Wednesday of every month, okay? And you should know that too, of course, Commissioner Jess. If she can't make it next month, then look up the second Wednesday of the following month of, what is it, April, May, and see if they can come then. But we'd like to get them, you know. And if they can't come at all, or if she's a little further, I'd be happy to go with you, or we can ask volunteers if we'd like to go present it to them. Okay? Commissioner Jeffords.
Just a quick general question about the Above and Beyond Award. I wonder if in the past we've had media advisories or a press release about this, or if we wrote it up, could we submit it to Diane Arthur so that maybe there can be some publicity generated?
Since we've been giving out the award, I'm not so, that was never, you know, a part of the thing. I mean, it's not a secret, but it was never a part to advertise that. And personally, and you could, you know, certainly call for an idea on that. We can discuss it. But personally, I think it's more of an exciting thing and a prestigious thing if we contact somebody and say, get like Commissioner Jess might be doing, and say, you know, you went above and beyond what you are required to by the ADA laws, and we want to recognize that and give you this award.
Right. But I'm just saying, after the fact, to put something out there to say that the Disability Advisory Commission has recognized that QT, you know, has gone above and beyond. Just something to.
The answer is we always do that. We send out, I send out a press release to the Arizona Republic, and they usually, I didn't see the last one as a matter of fact, but they usually find time or place to put it in the Arizona Republic, and they put it, I think they're connected, or maybe I also send it to the Surprise News. The it's, what is it called? It's not the It's like for all the little West Valley towns.
They even did the photo and.
Yeah, and we take photos at that, and yes, and we put out press releases. for that.
Perfect, that's exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Poshna? Oh. Do I hear a motion to nominate the QT for the Above and Beyond Award? Commissioner Stutzman?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have it second. Okay, all those in favor of giving the Above and Beyond Award to the QT stations in the pretty city of Surprise, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion is unanimously passed with the commissioners present. And to follow up, Commissioner Jess will get the exact name and spelling to Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis will have the certificate ready by next month. And with that, Commissioner Jess, please let Ms. Davis know whether or not that person will be able to come and get it. And if not, when they'll do it. And Linda, if you could, if they're going to come, put it on the agenda. If they're not, and it's not on the agenda yet, if you make up the agenda before time, that's okay. We could just pass by it and table it to the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
sure, thank you.
Excellent. Moving on, item number 9, discussion and action finalizing the purchase and distribution of DC promotional items. Commissioner Stutzman?
Okay, I was hoping we would make it here because I don't know if the prices are still going to stand. As of December, when this was passed on to me, what I had procured was 500 wristbands from Wristbands for Less, debossed, which means the printing would be sunken into the band and then painted in a different color. I handed out a proof to each of you. I apologize that it was not photographed in color, but the band would be purple, the City of Surprise's signature color, with the paint being either the yellow or the orange. The City of Surprise uses a gradient of both, so we would have to decide which paint we wanted on the inside. So we would approve what was going to be stamped on it. For 500 of them delivered and painted, it was $255 was the quote that I had. Whether or not they'll still honor it because we're well past the 30 days, I hopefully, you know, if we vote on it and I say, well, this is what we were approved for. They have followed up several times, but they've stopped. They've given up following up with me. The other item was the magnet. We had given the tentative go to the quote that I had at the early December meeting with Rika's suggestion that we go to a surprise company, even though the ones that we had reached out to did not respond or were unable to do it. She gave us another one. I did contact them. You have a copy of the email in the handouts from last month. They were willing to meet the best internet price that I found for the very large 5x7. That's a big magnet. With whatever script we approve, they met our online price, and it was going to be 250 of them for $215 out the door. So those two items add up to $470, I believe, of our budget, so it's well under. So that's what I have to report.
Okay, Linda, the next step, can you advise us? Is that, do we fill out a form, or we go present this to the city council, or is there how does this work now?
We'll find out. I'll receive direction, but I think we need something in writing regarding the bid or the quote, and then that would be presented to council for approval.
Okay, this is something I think we voted on, so can I ask Commissioner Stutzman, can you, first of all, confirm that these prices still stand? And if there's a difference or not, email Linda and or Rika and give her the name of the company, the address, et cetera, and the exact price. And Linda, can we get this done before the next meeting? In other words, if there's just a form to fill out, I'd certainly be willing to do it. I could meet you, or, you know, if it's emailed, or I can come in and get it. Or if we have to present it to the city council, I'm not sure, you know, how it works, with the new system, how it works.
I'll
'cause-
find out the specifics on how this should be handled and get.
All right, but my point is this: can we get this done before our next meeting? So after, don't do anything until Commissioner Stutzman emails you to let you know the final price, the name and address of the company, who the checks have to be made out to, or purchase orders, or however it's done. And then if you can advise both myself and Commissioner Stutzman on the specifics of the logistics,
Okay.
and then I'll facilitate whatever I have to do to make sure it's done. But we want to get this done before the next meeting and do it that way.
Okay,
Okay?
move forward with it.
Are we all clear? Any comments?
I still think-
Okay,
No,
moving.
no.
Whoops, what?
Oh, the yellow.
Oh, Commissioner Stutzman.
We still have to decide what exactly is going to go on them, so the only thing that I could give to the council would be the quotes. I couldn't give them the actual purchase orders because we haven't finalized what's gonna go on them.
Well-
The resources and things that we wanted on the magnet was on the agenda two times ago, and I did bring, and that's in the handout too, of some of the suggestions of phone numbers and things to go on there. But if we're going to be adding a slogan or something like that, we're going to need that before we can order. So if
Well,
we're talking about having it done for next month, I guess we just
Yes.
need to clarify whether or not they'll approve it based on me just, I gave copies of the quotes from the companies
That was in the package? I don't remember
yes.
seeing that now.
from last month.
Well, as far as
And they
the,
also gave us the form to fill out to get paid, you know, what we had to do to have an account with them.
That I
And
have,
the
yes.
second company already has an account with the City of Surprise. So if we're just gonna approve dollar amounts, but not the release of money,
I think before any release of funds would be released, all specifics would need to be voted on.
Of course.
approved, decided on,
of course,
and then presented to me, and then. see where
absolutely.
we go forward with that.
I don't seem to have I remember now what you were talking about 2 meetings ago, but I remember for the bracelet, remember we said that there's not that much room on it, so it was just gonna be the Disability Advisory Commission and a telephone number, which was Rika's number, I believe. And then for the magnets, I think, do
was it
remember,
a telephone number or the web
Surprise,
address?
Yeah,
the website?
Yeah, I
it's
think
gonna be
that's
the
what it was.
website.
All right,
so basically all you need is then the color to fill, right? Yellow or orange is what you were asking for, right? It was gonna be the purple with the,
what color is the band?
Purple.
Oh, okay, so yellow or orange. Well, what do you suggest, Commissioner Stutzman?
I've already stated that the City of Surprise uses a gradient of the two,
Right.
so it,
Is that more money though, to have another color though?
the price is already included to have
Any color?
the color paint inside. It's just a matter of choosing what it's going to be.
That's what I'm saying, so what is your, I mean, it'll be purple, and then either orange or yellow
or the gradient.
lettering, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So what do you suggest, orange or yellow?
I would think that the yellow would probably show up a little bit better.
Does anyone have any other comments about orange or yellow for the lettering?
I like yellow.
Okay, so yellow it is. And the magnet, it's 5 by 7, that is big, it's like it's like a picture. So we want on that, I guess we could put the telephone number, the website. Well, maybe we could put the Disability Advisory Commission with the city's logo of the little, what do you call that?
That's
The
the logo
mountains?
that's on the
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
I do have that in PDF form, which is what I gave to the
Okay.
company.
Do you happen to have that sheet you were talking about with the things we discussed for possibilities on the magnet? I can't seem to locate that.
Well, we didn't discuss it, it was just handed out. I had just had They were gray sheets, is how they photocopied.
Do you have an extra one there?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you want to also?
This is about the fair housing thing.
In the
Um,
back.
And then the second page.
Local
it-
resources?
Yeah, it was just the way Rika happened to staple them together.
Oh.
This was just a starting point because we had said that we wanted the magnet to be a source of
Right, of
resources that
information,
are
yeah.
available to people, not just an advertisement for us. So we were all tasked to bring suggestions of what we wanted on the magnet, and I just put this together as a starting point. I don't know what other commissioners brought.
Well, obviously, what you call a starting point is way too much to put on the magnet, so we have to kind of pick and choose from this. I don't see I don't see disability. Where is that? There must be on here somewhere. Our Disability Commission? Department of
This is from
Justice.
our website, so they would already be on it.
Oh, well, I think we need to start with, I think what we need to do is to start with the logo and Disability Advisory Commission and have our website and telephone number on there first at the top. We agree on that?
That's probably a legal requirement for anything from the commission to have all that.
Okay. Our webpage and the phone number, Disability Advisory Commission, logo from the City of Surprise. And now we have the local resources, national resources, fair housing. I would suggest that we stay with some of the local resources because, you know, we're not national, the Disability Advisory Commission. City of Surprise sidewalk closures, I'm not so sure we need that. City of Surprise special needs information form, adaptive recreation, that could be one. I would suggest Arizona Bridge to Independent Living. I'm not familiar with that. Well, that's a state resource, right?
I'm not personally familiar with any of these.
Okay.
Again, I just,
Excuse me? No, please speak up.
The Arizona Bridge to Independent Living is a independent living center, so their philosophy is grassroots. So they're by and for people with disabilities. So they're just kind of the leader in the Phoenix metropolitan area on disability issues. They have the whole Disability Empowerment Center down in Phoenix. So
Would you suggest that would be on our
I mean,
magnet?
it's a really good local resource. They are probably the biggest personal attendant care provider. You know, they train all the attendants. I mean, they just do a lot of stuff. So if there was one disability organization that you would want to list, they probably would be it.
Okay, I guess we could put that one on.
A question for Commissioner Stutz.
Commissioner Vice Chair Hernandez has a question.
Okay, you said you just took these off the website? That's a really good starting point. The only thing I don't see here that would be nice to have is the school numbers. For example, because the public schools all have a special needs program, which would be kind of nice for Dysart and so on and so forth, for those people who have kids still in the school system. Other than that,
Would we have to list every school?
how many schools do we have? I'm not familiar anymore.
39?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, no,
Need a
just
bigger magnet.
no, the administration. Just the administration number. Right,
Well, we have to narrow it down to what we can, we're involved in or what we can help with. The Arizona Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Arizona Commission for Deaf and Hard of Hearing, Arizona Disability Post for Paralyzed Veterans of America, I mean, this is awfully, very, very broad, even for local resources. Commissioner Stutzman?
What I will do is I will write these both up kind of as an invoice. This company that is doing the magnet has committed to that price despite of or regardless of what our actual print layout is.
Okay.
So I think that I could get something from them that I could submit for money approval without us making these decisions, because it appears as though we don't have the input from the other people. And since we have so many new people on the commission now that actually are experiencing a disability, they would be the absolute best people to say, as Commissioner Jeffords just did, what numbers absolutely are indispensable for this list if what we're trying to do is help the citizens of the city. So I would say that I can do what you're asking me to for getting it approved without us making the final decisions tonight.
One final thing, can you give us an idea of how many resources can go on this magnet, including our logo, our contact, web information, and telephone number?
I can't. What I can do is
approximately. I mean, 5 by 7, is it?
Again, I have absolutely no idea, but what I can do is do a 10 font and just type the letter K all the way across and see how many lines that gives us.
Size 10?
Well, I'm going to try many different fonts to see.
10 is pretty small.
Yeah, sorry, I should have used a different example to get at what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because artwork layout and things are going to have to be done. If you want the mountain logo, that's going to take a fair amount of space. So we may decide we want to get rid of the mountains and just have the names. So, you know, if it's are we going to do just phone numbers? Are we going to do phone numbers and web addresses? Are we going to do one or the other?
Excellent.
They're the kind of things that we're going to need to decide.
Why don't Commissioner Jeffords?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you know, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier with a logo. You know, the big thing now is taglines. And I really liked what Commissioner Stutzman said earlier about when we were writing the statement for the question. And I think it was something about we want to advocate for you or something like that. And I thought that would be a cool tagline to maybe include. I don't know if you could do it on the wristband because of the size, but it would be a cool thing to just kind of add as our little tagline.
To putting that on the magnet, you're saying? Yeah. I tell you what, to move forward with this, since we have enough information to get the specifics of the finances taken care of, why don't we go ahead and do that? And I apologize, Commissioner Stutzman. Somehow I missed that in my notes. I made a note to myself now, but I didn't. I confessed I didn't do that from our last meeting. So
it was actually from December's meeting, so it wouldn't have been in your notes from our last meeting.
That's
Unfortunately, we never got to that end.
Right, because of the long meeting last time. So maybe what we could do is then the next time just confirm exactly what we're going to do. And Commissioner Stutzman gave us an excellent starting point. But, you know, as I just learned from Commissioner Jeffords, we also have a good possibility. I don't want us to be limited to what Commissioner Stutzman gave us from our own website. So why don't we all do that one more time? I promise I won't let you down this time. Why don't we all come up with some resources that we think should go on the magnet? And by that time, we should have the finances in place. Commissioner Stutzman will have exactly how many things we can get on the magnet, and then we'll take a vote of what exactly should go on the magnet and then put that forward. And Linda, as far as that's concerned, if it has to go to council or whatever the next step is, you can just say we're going to have resource information on the 5 by 7 magnet, but here's the deal, here's how much it's going to cost, regardless of whatever the resources we have on there. Okay?
And if there's any kind of form that has to be filled out, that I need to enter it all onto their form for it to go before them, email that to me or I can stop and pick it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll facilitate that wherever I can help, unless you want to take care of that, that'll be fine.
Okay, sure.
Okay, sounds good. We're all set on that?
Yes.
Any questions, comments on that? Okay, so we're going to kind of table just that one part of it for our next meeting, but hopefully the finances, everything is in place and we're done with that. Last item, or second to the penultimate item, there's a good word for you to look up, the penultimate item for tonight, is discussion and action pertaining to the approval of the minutes for February 18, 2015. Usually I just ask if everybody has had a chance to read over the minutes, and if everybody has, we usually take a vote on it to approve the minutes, and then it becomes permanent on the website and in the record. However, this time there's a couple of things I already discussed with Linda, but for the benefit of our commissioners, the one error that I found was, I think it was the item where, item number 2 said that it should read at the end, for the sake of Vice Chairman Hernandez, it should also read, and Commissioner Jess. Okay, this is an item, Commissioner Jess, that we were talking about for people to take assignments in the new format for our goals and objectives and duties. And I wanted to table that after we all decided, because the 2 people who were absent were yourself and Vice Chairman Hernandez, which we did tonight. But on the record, on the minutes that are published, as a draft right now, it only says because of Vice Chair Hernandez. And I wanted Commissioner Jess to know that you're certainly a valuable member, and we didn't just forget about you or leave it out. But whoever typed it might have just left that out, and I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose or anything. So that's one error that we need to correct before we approve the minutes. Second thing, I also discussed this. I've had a couple of complaints since this thing was published, and here's the problem. If any of you took the time to look at council's minutes of any of the council's agenda, the minutes that are produced out of their meetings, when somebody from the public is called up, what they usually do is they write down almost verbatim exactly what they say, and they go into great detail in what the public is saying. On these minutes that we're being asked to approve, it just simply says we had 2 calls to the public, two speakers, and one was Councilman Winters and one was a citizen. They came and they both spoke on certain things, and then they left, and all it says is that these 2 people spoke, and that was it. So my suggestion is that these minutes should not be approved until we make some effort to put down what they spoke about. The citizen who spoke, we should just put a statement in there as to what he spoke about, and Councilman Winters, what he spoke about should be clarified. I don't think, in fact, because the meeting wasn't televised last month, I don't think any of us, and I don't believe it was digitally recorded, audio. So nobody has the exact words, which is fine, because we're not looking for exact words in a long story for that part of the agenda. But if you could please go back and look at the notes and just put down briefly what that person was suggesting or complaining about, or what the comments that they had to make, and same thing for Councilman Winters, what he was suggesting, complaining about, or whatever the gist of what he said. And for the future, again, as Ms. Davis and I discussed prior to this meeting, but for the benefit of the rest of the commissioners, in the future, what we'd like to do is just have, whenever we have a call to the public, just write down basically what the public spoke about. It doesn't have to be a resolution, because we're not supposed to respond to the public in that thing. It's just to get it on the record what they talked about. So a little something, a few sentences or something, or at most a paragraph, depending on how long they go on, about what they spoke about. Okay, so with my suggestion, and I'd like to make a motion that we don't approve these minutes until they've been corrected with the error and with the omission, and when that's done, then we can approve it at our next meeting. Do I hear a second on that motion, or is there any more discussion on that motion?
A second.
Vice Chairman Hernandez seconds the motion. Let us take a vote. How many agree not to approve the minutes until they're corrected by omission and by error? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We'll approve the motion hopefully at the next meeting when it's and again, I presume it'll be emailed to us or published on the internet as a draft before the next meeting.
And pursuant to our discussions, I'm going to receive direction from the legal counsel and HR management to
Thank you, I forgot that
specifically,
part. Go on.
Get direction from them to see regarding the call to the public, what or what should not be placed in the minutes.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm sorry, I apologize, I forgot that part.
No,
That,
that's okay. Thank you.
Linda and I, we already discussed that part. I should have shared that with the commissioners. She's going to get direction to make sure what we just talked about is okay and is acceptable, and that'll be our new policy. And if not, then we'll discuss that at our next meeting, okay? All right, item number 11, discussion and action pertaining to the future agenda items. I think we already said we're going to have, the first item is going to be the fair housing thing from Commissioner Stutzman, and we're going to make an effort to have the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, ready for her to go. And if you don't mind putting that as item number 1.
I will.
So we can make sure, because it's 2 meetings now that we've run out of time for that.
Sure.
So let's do that. I think we also said discussion pertain to the mediation, item number 3. That's going to be on there. Item number 5, we're going to put that on there, and I'm going to write up the whole plan.
Right.
I'm going to email it. Again, I'm going to have a tagline on the email to please do not respond to me. Do not share the email, I want to remind you. Do not forward it to anybody, any other commissioner. It's not that it's confidential, and emails are. The nature of these emails that we might send to each other or staff members, I remind you they are subject to the public seeing them, and that's fine, but please do not share them with each other in order to create a debate or a discussion on them as a non-public meeting. So I just want to caution you that, but there'll be a tagline in that when I write it up and send it to you, and that'll be on our next agenda, the fair housing. And the discussion action, the promotional items, but again, we've already talked about that, to come up with your own ideas about that, and we'll put that on the agenda and see if we can get that going. Is there anything else anybody would like to have put on the agenda for our next meeting? Now is the time to suggest. Commissioner Jeffords.
I would like to propose, it doesn't have to be the next meeting, but maybe in the next several meetings, we discuss the possibility of teaming up maybe with the library system. I get emails from the library all the time because they bring in speakers and that kind of thing, and I would love to see a disability series, or maybe to have disability topics. And I know it's not my area of interest, but you know, I would not mind taking lead and talking to the librarians and that kind of thing, if that's something that we wanted to pursue as a commission.
I'm not sure I understand where we.
So again, I get emails all the time from the library, the
Right.
Surprise Library. They bring in, I mean, they're having somebody with Irish this,
For
Irish that.
gardening or whatever it is.
Right. So why not bring in some experts in the area of disability, different, like the fair housing, or somebody talking about services that ABLE provides, or, I mean, there are a myriad of things that we could bring in just to enrich the lives of our citizens with disabilities. So I just think it's a natural platform for providing some of that, and would like the opportunity to discuss it further.
All right, why don't we put that on the agenda for our next meeting and to discuss it further? Can I ask you, Commissioner Jeffords, if you can contact a person in the library to propose the idea and see how receptive they are, and then what we could discuss at our next meeting, and maybe all of us can come up with ideas of what experts we can contact to see if they would be willing to do this and set something up for the library to have this.
Absolutely.
Does that
And again,
sound-
it could be an ongoing thing if we have several different topics, you know, if they could get it on their schedule in the
Right.
months ahead, that would be great.
Right. And we have people on the commission here who are experts at certain things, so, you know, maybe we can add them to this as well. If we get an expert in some field, maybe we can have one of us do a presentation or something, for example, fair housing, or maybe explain, if by then we have our parking system in effect, we can explain that to the public at that meeting. That's a wonderful idea. So why don't we put that on the agenda for next month, and Commissioner Jeffers will give us some more information about how receptive they are, and for the rest of us, we'll kind of brainstorm and see what other things we can put for presenting to the public at the library. Any other comments or suggestions for next month's meeting? Any other things that need to go on the agenda? Commissioner Poshna.
I would like to nominate Mountainside Fitness for
Yes.
the above and beyond reward as I described earlier. I am a member of this gym,
Mm-hmm.
and in my mind, they are ADA accessible, but if I need help, if I need assistance, all I need to do is ask, and they are more than willing to accommodate me, help me, make sure I'm doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
And I see them doing it with other members as well, not just myself.
Okay, can I ask, can we put that on the meeting as well? And can I ask you to come up with what you just say, if you can put that in writing perhaps, or you don't have to, I mean, we could just discuss it next time. If there's anything extra that you think of, Commissioner Poshna, in between now and then, it's okay to email all of us individually with factual information about what you've discovered about them. And if you can get a name of a person or a manager or an owner who you feel deserves it. And by the way, let me just make it clear, Commissioner Poshna, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, if it happens to be a person who works there who is above and beyond taking it upon themselves to do that, that's certainly worthy as well, in your opinion. And you can share that with us. And then at the next meeting, if you have this information, at the next meeting we can discuss it and we can vote on it, and then the following meeting we can actually present it.
Thank you.
Okay? Commissioner Jeffers.
Ironically, Commissioner Pochner, I had emailed Mr. Chair about a similar experience I had with a workout facility at CrossFit Surprise. And they're just for anybody who's not familiar with CrossFit, they're just a one-room setup. It's a husband and wife team, and they just really, I mean, in all the places I've ever been, unfortunately they had a 2-week free membership, and I took advantage of that, but it was too hard for me to keep. I was sore, oh my gosh, I won't even go into that. It was hard work. But they were just more accommodating than anywhere I've ever been. And again, I can do the same thing as Commissioner Poshner, write it up. But my concern would be, would it be redundant to have 2 similar awards, you know, for the same kind of thing?
Can I comment on that?
Absolutely.
real quick, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Jeffers, that's great, and I truly understand how painful CrossFit is. I've never done it. I have many friends who are in it, and I see the pain they go through. I don't think it would be redundant, but I would say if we're going to do that, seeing as they're two separate fitness facilities, maybe like we choose one for 1 month and then wait a couple of months to give out the other one and try to recognize another type of business. Because I honestly believe that if they are going above and beyond, they should be recognized no matter what business no matter what type of business they are. So that's my opinion on that.
I have to say I wholeheartedly agree with Commissioner Poshna. It may be redundant, but I think that's fine. That's okay. If we have 3 people in a row getting this thing all in the same business, I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. They went above and beyond what is required. They deserve an award, and we deserve to recognize them for that. Maybe I should make clear for our new commissioners, what we try to do is to give out 1 award a month. That's when we first started this thing with the mayor's blessing. We try to give out 1 award a month. So by all means, if 2 of you want to suggest, or 3 of us want to suggest something and talk about it at the next meeting, you know, we can put all 3 on the thing there and then just choose. And if we vote on all 3, we can give out 1 the next month, 1 the month after that, 1 the month after that. Usually the way it's been working out, we don't cover every single month. So it's fine to do that. I don't think that's redundant at all. If you feel strongly about that, if you want to put that on the agenda to discuss that one next month, that'll be fine. If you want to wait, it's up to you. to that one, Commissioner Jeffers.
Yeah, I would like to put it on. And so when I do my write-up now, do I email that to you or do I email it to Ms. Davis?
If you could copy Ms. Davis on it, definitely, but if you could email it to each of us if you like, but do it individually, one at a time. I know it's a pain in the neck that way, but it gives the appearance that we're not having an electronic meeting.
Absolutely.
And I remind you again, do not respond to Commissioner Jeffers, as I did not respond to the email that you sent me, but I did read that.
Thank you.
Okay? Any other, before we have a call to the public, any other comments or concerns or questions, suggestions on item 11 for the Disability Advisory Commission for next month, April 8th, I believe it is? Linda, do you have anything you need to put on the agenda for next month?
No, I do not. Other than, there's two other items that I had, and it depends on the feedback from Commissioner Jess on the above and beyond award from QT regarding Misty on that. And also you were, Chair Yeager, were going to present feedback to the board regarding Diane Arthur's response regarding the publishing of the survey question.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and I was going to write up the survey question thing.
Yep.
Yes.
Other than that, I don't have anything else, sir. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up a call to the public. Is there anyone in the public who would like to say something on the record for the Disability Advisory Commission? Okay, the open to the public is no response, so we are going to close the open call to the Republic. Unless there is any other information without objection, I'd like a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Stutzman,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
do we have a second?
I second.
Motion has been made and second. I hereby call the March 11th, 2015 meeting of the Disability Advisory Commission adjourned. Thank you very much. Meeting is hereby adjourned.